made a decision that we were going to try to buy a house in the Wayne County tax sale. And we were fortunate enough to find this one, and it was a no-brainer. Honestly, I looked at about 100 houses, and I narrowed that list down to 10. I literally sat in front of each house as I was bidding, you know, as if I could wheel my way into getting it. And 8 of the houses that were in University District in Sherwood, in that area, I basically didn't win on those. So I had 2 out of 100 houses. I'm down to 2 properties. It was 2 here, one on Boston, one on Chicago. And on the way back to my office, I rolled by this house for the first time, and I looked at it and I said, wow, this is really a good house. You know, I was kind of sleeping on it. And but I assumed that the same scenario would play out, that someone else would, you know, maybe outbid me, because it seemed to be very, very competitive. So I went back to my office, and I think this auction ended at 1:30. I logged back in around 1:15, and there wasn't a single bid on the property. No one had bid on it. You know, so I kind of, you know, scratched my head and was wondering, oh, somebody's surely going to jump in at the last minute. So at 1:29, I placed a bid, and the auction extended 5 minutes, and then that 5 minutes expired, and, you know, congratulations, you won. So I think, you know, personally, I think that that, you know, it was just meant from the beginning, you know, for us to get the house. So on the front end of that journey, when I was putting together this list of 100 houses, honestly, at that point, I didn't even know how I would pay for the house. I didn't, you know, I had no, all signs of everything said, oh, now is not the time, this is not the year, you know, you're not going to be able to do it for whatever reason, but we stepped out on faith, we still pursued it, and in the end, you know, I think it was just destined that this house was waiting for us. That the property wasn't in bad condition, you know, it was what I call little toolbox things to do. You know, it wasn't any major repairs. All the major systems were still intact. We did refinish the floors and paint and you know, replace some, you know, broken windows and doors and things like that. But there was no major, it was a major clean out. The understanding of, you know, the opportunity that Detroit's transition really represents can do that. Every single abandoned house that you see in this city is like a diamond in the rough.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just that people don't really realize it yet. And if you can make them see that, and then they can leverage things like the tax sale or the land bank auctions or other methods of acquiring these properties and making them viable, it's the greatest opportunity for wealth transfer that I've seen in my life. And then my wife and I, we decided that we wanted to expand and buy properties. And we owned some property south of Boston Edison in LaSalle Gardens area, and that we just used for rental property over the years. And on that block, there were a number of vacant and abandoned properties that were just sitting idle, you know, properties that when we lived on the block, we knew the families that lived there previously, but now, you know, the block was just stagnant. Right now we have 6 on that one block, 6 2 or 4 family flats on that block that we're renovating and renting. But I do think that there are a lot of options that people never even consider, or they're not aware of. You know, first, in terms of, you know, part of our strategy in the community is to help people stay in their properties. So the different programs that people have, or that the county has to, you know, enter payment arrangements and things like that, most people just don't know, or they may be aware, but for some reason they don't act on them, just based off of our experience, you know, and being excited about what, you know, purchasing property at this time in Detroit has, you know, done for us. We like to share that information with people. So, you know, really, we don't really limit it to anyone who's interested or expresses an interest in wanting to know at least what we have done. We openly share that. And typically it's, you know, a one-on-one, you know, couple to couple, you know, very informal interaction that we do upstairs in this house, you know, in my office upstairs, where we just go through our testimony. And then we try to answer questions and create the ideal in people's mind that they can do it.
And while we will continue to acquire properties and rent them out to families, we do want to educate those families to move from that level of leasing or renting to then ownership. We're really trying to help change the mind of the community to not just be consumers, but become those individuals that make up the community and offer opportunities even to others and become self-sustaining.
As a community, throughout the entire county, we've gone through so much and survived so much. It says something about who we are, right? So, just recognize what we've done already, what we've accomplished already, and see that it's a new day. It's a new day in the city, it's a new day in the county, it's a new day in the state, and things have turned around, So just act, be a part of it. Don't sit by the wayside and 10 years from now talk about what could have happened and what should have happened.
Exactly.
And seize the opportunity at hand right now, and be diligent, persistent, show good stewardship, and the rest will happen on its own.